Hey, everybody. We're so glad that you've joined us today, and we're very excited, as you can see, coming to you
Ta-da.
from a studio given to or letting us being used by Mr. Sean Kalbish. We thank him so much, and 100 West Photography. That is something that, if looking into the future, if you're looking at your photography needs, or if you're looking at possibly wanting to start a podcast yourself or any kind of vlog, and you're looking for that assistance as far as studio and production, you can give him a shout. You can look at Instagram and Facebook, 100 West Photography, but he's just getting started, so the details will come later on that. So we want to thank him for it. Remember to please hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Make sure that you leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. If you've got some feedback on what you think on the things that we're talking about, please we'd love to have a conversation with you. Again, thank you so much for being here, and Rach can let you know what we're talking about today.
So today our character is Wade, and he's in the book. He's the little skunk in the book that Berl meets at the park. And so we're just going to start out like we always do and talk about who Wade is inspired by. And so do you want to?
Yeah, it's to us, I guess, really the central point of the whole book and the Berl story with this first book is this moment in the park. Mm-hmm. It really is a moment where Berl shows his love and how to treat others. The whole mission of the book is for us to be able to show people that follow Jesus and have that kind of love and can help spread kindness and be nice to others. That's the whole central point of Berl and his character. So we see him getting to do that at this moment in the book. It's a very important book or part in the book. Wade is, and we made him a skunk because we wanted him to be. There's a lot of kids out there. There's a lot of they're socially outcasted for
various reasons.
Many different reasons. They come from a family of addiction. They live in poverty. Whatever the case may be, they're not considered the norm to some of the other kids, so they've been outcasted. So that character, the skunk character, kind of represented that, something that you kind of stay away from. Right. I mean, because skunks are, when you think about a skunk, you think about, don't want to get anywhere close to a skunk. So that was kind of the thought process on why he was a skunk. And then, we've had, for us, personal experiences with our adopted son, and a lot of the past that he has come from. But through our lives in public safety and through our lives
in youth
with
ministry,
church and youth ministry, we've just come across a lot of kids that have had to deal with that, being an outcast. Yeah,
and being an outcast. But you also see in this park where he lives, which is kind of a rundown apartment building there in town, which is kind of an area in our mind of like where some of these kids might be that we've come in contact with, and that we have helped, or that we've loved, or that we've got the chance to meet. And we see that sometimes they're not always like real proud of that, right? So this and Berl, we're going to face that head on. It didn't affect him that's where he went, right? He didn't know any different in the apartment that day when Wade went back.
Yeah, no, for Berl, he was completely blind to Wade's status, and his circumstance. He was because that's and you'll find out more in books to come on Berl's background and how he was brought up and how he had come to that type of blindness, as lack of a better term, on not just not seeing status, just literally seeing another person. And in that moment,
and he needed somebody to play with.
Right, and in that moment, he's seen sadness from Wade. He could see the other kids just not playing with him, and
he didn't understand why. Yeah. Because to him, it was just another kid to play with. Kid.
And his outgoingness and being able to go, hey, I want to play with you, completely changes the outcome of Wade's day, and as you will see in future books to come, really changes Wade's life. And so there's going to be a lot more about that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to change his life, but it's it's also probably going to change Berl's a little bit too.
Sure. I mean, and Berl's, we've already talked about Officer Buck making his day.
Yeah, I mean, he had no friends until Wade.
Right. And so, literally the Officer Buck got him on the right path because... And the
directing
way
him to the park.
Right. And it's a lot like, as spiritual people, as Christian people, we see Jesus setting these people in your life and sitting and opening these paths for you on your journey to lead you down a road to get you to where you need to be, emotionally and mentally, spiritually. And that's what's happened to Berl in this moment. That's how he got to the park.
So let's bring up that for just a second, because in the book, Wade had already heard, hey, you dropped your pocket. Like that was a joke he knew.
Yep.
And he knew that because that was Buck's signature line when messing with people, right? When kidding at people, when getting at people. So do you want to talk about the connection to why Wade already knew Buck's joke?
Sure. As we have seen a lot in our past and being in public safety, we've had a lot of, well, you can't really say friends, or more than friends, or family, and some legit are family in the law enforcement community, Uncle Buck being one of them. These kids that are in these circumstances, unfortunately, they have experience with law enforcement, with police officers and sheriff's deputies, because of their families or the members that are in their household. It might not be a biological mother or biological father. It might just be one of them. It might be a grandparent. I mean, it could, who knows? Some way or the other was breaking the law through addiction or through poverty, and they were stealing and theft. And so, unfortunately, these kids have had to meet law enforcement officers in bad situations. And we've actually seen where Officer Buck in real life had to take care of a kid when
that was special to us.
That was special to us when the officers went into the home because of drugs, and that child was there, and Buck actually took him to the side and kept him out of that I don't know what you would call it, but the evil that was going on around him. And so he was able to get him out of that.
He distracted him from the situation and became his friend instead of what could have been here we are to do this thing, and now you have this horrible memory. It actually became this moment in time.
Right. And so in the story, that's kind of where that comes from, on him, us saying that he had heard that before, that Wade had heard that before, is because Wade has had unfortunate experience with Officer Buck, as far as Officer Buck has had to be there for him. And we talked specifically in the book about Officer Buck, but there are so many more police officers that have those experiences with so many more kids than even the ones we know, and those heroes don't often get that mention because the people that are seeing it aren't going to say, hey, thanks for taking care of my kid while you were busting me for drugs. But when people read this book, we want them to see the book as, they don't just see it as Officer Buck, but they think, man, I know a police officer and he probably has done this. Or, man, I've read this book and my nephew had this happen and a police officer did this for him. So Officer Buck represents so many more people, and Wade represents so many more people. Sure. I mean, we've met school resource officers, SROs in schools that, the first thing people think of, and generally it's the case, is their number one job is safety of the kids. In this world of active shooters and things going on inside the schools, that SRO's number one job is to keep those kids safe.
But they also have to be a safe place.
Right. That's what I was going to say. That they have become, and experiences that I've seen with good SROs, is that those kids know that it's a safe place for them to go to.
So kids like Wade.
Yep, kids like Wade they know to go to that SRO and sometimes just for help. And that SRO
and sometimes
has
it's
been
just
like a guardian angel.
My next meal.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. We automatically assume it's something bad going on at home as far as breaking the law, but sometimes it is. It's a kid in poverty, or it's a kid, saying, hey, I can't make it to I need to be at this event, but I can't make it to that event because I don't have money.
Or I can't get to practice.
I can't make it. I can't make the trip. So, that's why it's always, for us, we have a huge respect for our SROs and law enforcement officers.
And we love all the little Wades.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can't help it. I mean, in our youth ministry that we're involved with, we see little Wades a lot. And again, like I said, in our public safety world, emergency management and EMS and having law enforcement friends, it's, we've had to see a lot of them.
So we talked about some traits we noticed in Wade, what kind of makes him the skunk, what that represents. We talk about the moment in the park where he's not being played with, but then Berl's kindness and his blindness, as you said it, to the other kids not playing with him. He just doesn't even recognize that. He doesn't join in on that. He's in the moment. He gains a new friend, and he makes Wade's day in the process. So we've talked about that moment in the park. We've talked about how Berl handled that with kindness, what that means for kids today. And one of the things that we were going to talk about was we feel like sometimes even kids get a little cliquish, right? We've talked about this with Bella. Bella and her best friend, we say B and E, but Bella and her best friend were kind of cliquish, and she missed an opportunity for several months to make a new friend. And once she finally did make that new friend and get out of that clique mentality, she gained this new love and respect and friendship that she wouldn't have had if she had not pushed herself to be out of that clique mentality. And now that the friend that she loved has moved, she is kind of regretting that she put off letting her in the friendship, I guess, or the clique group or whatever, for several months. And so I hope that in some way Berl's kindness can speak to kids like Bella who are like, man, I didn't really give that kid an opportunity, because I went with this other group of kids over here, like, oh, they're,
Well, and a lot of times we've seen it growing up, in small towns, and it's not just small towns; it's every place. There's humans exist.
Mm-hmm.
Cliques happen, right? You've got, generally you'll have your leader, one or two, and then you'll have your followers, and most of the time, kids that are in these cliques are just there because they want that status or that popularity, or they want to be part of that group. Yep. They're not mean kids; they just they seek that approval, from the popular ones, quote unquote. And a lot of times the popular ones, what we've seen in our lives, those are kids that are just really seeking attention because they have some stuff that they're dealing with. So, I mean, really every kid has something.
Right.
Every child has something that they're dealing with. So,
and we hope that Berl helps them learn how to deal with stuff a little differently than what is considered kind of typical.
Well, and especially those kids that don't think, they're just thinking, I need to be part of this group. We want them to be able to think, because that there's times, I've seen it so many times, that they actually get along with this other child, but because that child is not part of the right group, they believe they can't be friends with them. And we've seen it happen
they're
so
different.
much. Right, they're different. And so, but then if they would just, and they do like each other, but literally just won't hang out with them because they're not part of the group, or they're not,
or they don't play basketball, or they don't,
whatever the case may be.
Yeah, they live in a certain area.
So
we
want those kids, like you said, to be able to see Berl and go, you know what, dadgummit, it shouldn't matter, what's going on with that kid.
Yeah, like
we could be friends.
Yeah, we can be friends. We talk about whatever, video games, Jesus, a book, whatever. You can find a common ground somewhere.
Right.
All right, and the other thing is that I have on here is, what about Berl asking about taking Wade to church? And so some of that you'll get into, I think, on the next vlog, but like, what significance is that for this?
So, it's, there's in the next vlog, which will actually be the last one for this book, we'll get into that in just a minute. We're really going to do a deep dive into, Papa Joe, because he's really the last character, and the last focal point of what happens in the restaurant, and his invitation to church is what kind of sets this moment off. But so we'll jump ahead just a little bit, but it's actually, you guys know that they've read the book, that Berl does say, "Can I invite Wade to church?" So, this moment developed a friendship that Berl understood that, hey, I've just been invited to go to church. I want to take my friend that I've just met to church. So it's developed a relationship there that started, and
it gives Berl something to look forward to. Like he's new to town.
Excited.
Yeah, he's new to town, but like now he's got something to invite a friend to.
Right, and that moment is the when you think of the book from beginning to end, where do we see Berl in the beginning? Crying, upset. And at the end, he's content and he's found joy, right? And it's all been because of relationships that he's met along the way, just in that one day.
Yes.
So...
so it just shows you just how relationships are important to everybody of all ages. And how we treat others, too, because he wouldn't have went home having that same feeling that day, probably, if he had picked the other group that was kind of not playing with Wade or leaving somebody out. He would not have went home with that same joyful, content, peaceful feeling.
Well, and a lot of that comes from, which, again, we'll get into later, is Berl's upbringing. He wouldn't have felt, Berl's just not the type of kid to feel right in those, and it's what we know as Christians and in faith, the Holy Spirit, right? Gigging at you saying something's not right, or, you need to take a different path. So, that's going to be literally what every book from here on out, hopefully hundreds of them, if I live long enough, is about. At the end of the day, is Jesus is really going to work through Berl and his family and people in Berl and his family's life, to really just love one another.
Right. Okay. So I think that's everything on our list.
Okay.
Do you want to? We won't get out this vlog in time for the upcoming events, but maybe for Arts and Ag. Do you want to talk about what's going on Saturday?
Yeah, we have. By the time you guys see this, we'll probably be a little bit later in the week. We'll try to actually have, if we can make it work, we'll post on our Facebook and social media. We have a library reading in Lewis County and Hornwall tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so
I've already shared that on social media.
Right. And so we're excited about that. If you guys have seen it, and we're going to just be reading to some kids and seeing them. And we'll try to get some pictures of that, and we'll get that posted so y'all can see it. And then the next day will be Centerville Elementary School's summer reading program. So we'll be down there. Rachel and I both will.
It's a private event, though.
Yeah, it's a private event. We'll be down there with those kids. I'll actually be doing, of course, the book and talking about Berl. Rachel will actually be down there showing baking with sourdough, so that's gonna be interesting. And so we'll get some pictures from that event also, and get that. Try to get those. Let you guys see those, because those are always so fun. But the Arts and Ag tour on Saturday, July 20th, we will be at local place right there on the square in Centerville, the best coffee shop in the world.
And ice cream.
Yes, I go for the coffee, but the wife goes for the ice cream. She loves the ice cream. But Miss Conchetta and Miss Chloe, those guys are phenomenal. So we'll be there with them. I think there'll be another author there. There'll be an artist there as well. There'll be all kinds of things going on in the square all day.
Yeah, there's a Facebook page. It's not just the square. It's like over the entire county. But
they go from.
It's Arts and Ag over the entire county.
So they see Century Farms. It's a really cool thing to go to and have fun. But if you are out and about and you're going through Hemming County and enjoying the Arts and Ag tour, please stop by a local place and see us. We'll have some books for sale.
We'll be signing
books. We'll be saying hi to everybody.
Yep.
So that'll be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Unless you want to add anything about Wade.
No, Wade will be. We are really excited on the second book. That I'm actually just
Don't
the last
give away
couple of
too
days.
much.
I know. The last couple of days, I've been communicating with Miss Sophia, our artist extraordinaire, and she has sent me some pictures, and they look amazing. And it's just
and Wade has another big part.
Yes,
and we meet. Are we gonna?
No, hush.
Okay.
So there'll be some characters that you are going to want to meet, and you will see a lot more into Wade's story, and it's really going to dig deep in that. And it's a Christmas book, and if you don't cry, you probably are just.
I'm crying just thinking about it.
I know. So
I was crying a while ago.
Right. So we're excited for that. And so please stay tuned. That should be our goal, is to have the pre-launch, or at least the pre-orders in October, to be able to launch in November, so that you guys can get that book by Christmas. And so when that does come, we'll be vlogging and all that stuff on that book. When hopefully this one will come out by the end of this week. That's what we're hoping. We'll have one more vlog, and it's going to be the last one, and it's also a big one, and it will come out a few weeks after that, and we'll try to keep y'all posted on when that's coming, and then that'll be the last vlog for the book. So that part will be done.
For book one.
But do you want to talk a little bit about what is on the horizon we're looking forward to?
We can just briefly, because we don't want to go too long.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about what's coming in the next vlog, because we'll be leading up to
some plans that we have, and you can be praying about it with us, is we're looking at doing a Be Like Berl podcast, which would involve Jim and I interviewing some young adults, even some teenagers, younger folks. And we just want to learn about how Jesus worked in their life through people. So, like, how can you be like Berl, or how was somebody like Berl and worked in their life? And it's going to be called the Be Like Berl podcast. We're not going to give away our first guest yet.
No, but I'm excited.
But we've got some speakers or some guests lined up, and we're going to be launching that as a way to not necessarily talk about the book, but just to continue how Jesus works through kids and young adults. I think even more than us older adults give them credit for.
Right, and Scripture talks a lot about, suffer little children unto me, and Jesus and God has an even more special relationship with children.
The innocence.
Yeah, the innocence and the purity of kids, but they face and they're attacked constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Especially this day and age, and through trauma and tragedy and chaos and all kinds
Spiritual
of different
warfare
things.
is legit.
Right, and so. But Jesus, most of the time, will help them through every situation, and those situations through people. There's so many times that Jesus uses people to be able to help them through that. And there's also been people that's not been like Jesus.
Right.
And so, we're
going to learn from those mistakes.
We'll learn from those mistakes as well. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully that will come sometime in August, and we're excited. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah. So I think this is the part where we say, click the like and subscribe.
Right. and make sure that if you haven't gotten your book yet, please, you can go to the berlsqueever.com. That's the home base for everything at Berl, and you can see where to buy the book. You can see where to contact us if you have ideas for stuff, and you can also get the links to our social media. We'll have like pictures on there of events that we've been to. Hopefully there'll be some new ones coming up. So please go.
We've also been asked about a couple of VBSs, which we're more than willing to come out to and read the book at VBSs.
Yeah, if you guys want us to come out, we'd love to come out and do this. We want to partner with churches and religious organizations, especially what has to do with youth ministry. But we also want to make sure that if you did get the book, please go to Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com and leave us a review. That really helps the book get seen, because at the end of the day, it's about getting Berl to the kids that need it, and that's what our prayer is. So, do you have anything else?
No.
No, I don't either. So we'll go ahead and sign off, and we'll see you guys on the next one. So everybody, stay safe, follow Jesus. God bless. See you guys.